Identifying remains. Researching soldiers' psyche. Kedumim, condemnations. Today is the 29th of Iyar, 5768, June 3rd, 2008. I'm Aaron Deutsch, and you are watching Arutz Sheva, Israel National News. The Hezbollah terror group returned the remains of IDF soldiers to Israel in exchange for Nissim Nasser, a Hezbollah spy. The rabbinate and forensic scientists worked to identify the remains of those who fell in the defense of Israel.
On Monday, Israeli pathologists at the Abu Kabir Forensic Institute succeeded in identifying tissue from the remains transferred to Israel by Hezbollah as belonging to 5 IDF soldiers who were killed in the Second Lebanon War. The IDF soldiers whose remains have been identified are Major Nissan Shalve, Captain Daniel Gomez, First Sergeant Major Ron Mashiach, and Major Sami Ben Naim. The 4 had been aboard a Yassur helicopter shot down during the war. The 5th soldier was Sergeant Major Gilad Zusman, who fell in battle. The IDF has notified the families, and they will decide on the manner of burial for the positively identified remains. The process is ongoing and may take weeks. Not long ago, the IDF confirmed 20 soldiers were not buried intact. DNA samples were taken from all of the fallen, and the military has precise documentation of the parts missing. The box holding the remains was turned over to the Red Cross in Lebanon after Nissim Nasser was surrendered to the Hezbollah terror group. Among the box's contents was First Sergeant Major Mashiach's dog tag.
It's difficult. It's like spreading salt on the wounds.
The tag was presented by Lebanese newspapers earlier this year when Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah first announced that his organization had the body parts of IDF soldiers. The Mashiach family received the tag on Monday.
What we brought for you now are the dog tags that arrived yesterday. We brought it to you as we received it. It wasn't shined or cleaned. It wasn't touched at all. You see, it's directly from his neck. It's probably from the moment of the hit. It has his name on it. It's a memento. It belongs to Ron. We are saving it, and eventually we will give it to his son, Sa'ar.
After receiving the tag, the Mashiach family declared the state must not make concessions for body parts of fallen Israeli soldiers.
Following years of claims from the left end of the political spectrum that, quote, the Israeli occupation is damaging to the soul of Israel, a researcher from Ariel, Professor Noach Migron, head of the master's program in psychology at the university, investigated these claims and came to a very different conclusion. We spoke with Professor Noach Migron. Shalom, Professor.
Shalom, how are you?
Now, the left-wing groups claim military service causes hostility towards the Arabs, but you found this wasn't true.
That's true. What I found was that the ideological orientation that the soldier has is what goes ahead and determines how he interprets what's happening and how he behaves subsequently to that. The more he would become very angry and wish to go ahead and get even. Seems a natural thing. You slap my face, I slap your face. It is simply not true in the studies that I conducted, both with 6 different groups of combat soldiers and with 10 different groups of citizens living on both sides of the Green Line. In all of these studies, the extent to which the more you reported being harmed because of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict had no connection with how willing you were to get even or how willing you were to engage in reconciliation.
When you interviewed the soldiers, did you know their political background? Did you ask that as well?
Oh yes, of course. Part of the battery that we give is a battery which asks a number of questions about ideology. When you go ahead and say, what else does saying left or right go along with? It goes along with attitude towards Zionism. The left tends to blame Israel itself, Israeli people. Whether it blames the settlements on the West Bank, chooses to call them illegitimate, says if they weren't there, it would be fine. If Rabin hadn't been assassinated, it would be great. It simply goes ahead and says it's our fault. The right doesn't think of it that way. The right sees what we're doing as trying to live in a hostile neighborhood, and there are bullies and dupes around who are trying to eliminate us.
In terms of decision makers, is there anything practical you want people to change?
Well, I think that if people, I would like to bring the message, you see, that ideology is alive and well, for better or for worse, in Israel as in every Western society. And I do believe that the ideology associated with the left, as it now is interpreted, is dangerous.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for asking me.
IDF stands for Israel's Defense Force, but is the IDF defending sufficiently? Residents of Kedumim gathered to protest against the IDF's behavior in the past few months.
A group of 100 Arabs with rocks, with knives. They chased after soldiers with guns that just ran away from them. That's what happened just over here when a group of Arabs came to attack the settlers in Shvutami.
Residents of Kedumim came to the adjacent IDF base to protest against the inactivity of the army. On Shabbat, a group of Arabs came to the hilltop community of Shvutami, and it seemed the soldiers preferred to ignore and withdraw.
Something happened to our army. We came to remind you what the purpose of the IDF is. We came to protest the embarrassing behavior that we saw here on Shabbat afternoon.
What happened is, till the army came, is we were attacking. Once the army came, we ran away.
We are astonished and disappointed from the behavior of your commanders and the disgraceful orders you received to stand in front of Arab stones and provocative behavior and just run away. That's not the IDF we remember and strive to have again. When I came in, I received the first wounded with a wound in his eye from a stone that was thrown. He was bleeding. Miraculously, he survived. We have to remember that something like this could kill, and the soldiers run away, and they are ashamed.
One of the guys that came from Kedumim to help us, that had a gun, he got injured because he wasn't allowed to shoot.
After a few minutes of the protest, one of the local commanders arrived, but he preferred not to relate to the demonstrators.
People saw here how your soldiers ran away from around 100 rioters that ran towards Shvutami with stones. All the children here and the women stood on the balconies and saw this. We are sure you have something to tell us so we can tell the children. Activists of the Land of Israel Loyalists decided to remind everyone that Jerusalem Day is also the day in which Judea, Samaria, and the Gaza Strip were liberated. As a continuation of the Going Out to the Open Area operation, a group of activists marched on Jerusalem Day from Givat HaOr hilltop near Beit El towards Ramat Migron.
בגוש אמונים התחיל את החזון של ההתיישבות של היישובים ביהודה ושומרון. לאחר מכן
Gush Emunim started the settlement movement in Judea and Samaria, and then after, outposts were established. Now, with God's help, is the third stage, liberating all the lands between the communities.
שמטרתה לכבוש את כל השטחים שבין היישובים. המטרות של הצעדה הזאת היא להגיד שכל רגב ורגב בארץ...
The goal of this march is to say that every part of the land of Israel is ours. We must continue to walk freely in the land, and we must continue to develop the communities.
להמשיך לפתח את ההתיישבות.
Ramat Migron is a just beginning community established on Independence Day in a response to the plans to uproot the community of Migron and relocate it.
יש כרגע תוכניות של גירוש מאחזים, ביניהם מגרון.
There are plans to uproot communities. One of them is Migron, and we want to expand against any destruction.
וזה המסר שאנחנו רוצים להגיד היום.
And that's the message of today's activity. With God's help, the whole hill will be populated. With God's help, we will do and succeed.
That wraps up today's newscast. Join us again tomorrow for another edition. Until then, shalom from all of us here at Arutz Sheva, Israel National News.